Good afternoon, everybody. I will tell you about doctoral education through the Curie ITN scheme. And we have been involved in a series of Curie ITN projects with the so-called cloud collaboration. So I use this as an example. But let's start first with a little bit of introduction. What is this Marie Curie initial training network? So it's a funding scheme from the European Commission. And in this scheme, there is both individual fellowships and then are these networks. And the main goal of this whole funding scheme is to support the career development of young scientists. And doctoral education especially is provided by these kind of innovative training networks. And the purpose is to increase the future employability of the PhD students. So how it works is that there are a network of universities or institutes who apply for this funding together. They need to be at least 3 institutes involved in each proposal, but usually it's a bit larger collaboration. So I think the typical size is about 10. And for instance, in the cloud project, we have 10 beneficiaries and then several partner institutions as well. And these beneficiaries together hire 15 PhD students, or so-called early stage researchers, as they are called by the European Commission. And they have needed to complete their master studies less than 4 years ago. And the idea is also that the PhD students for each host come from another country. So they cannot have lived in the country which employs them for more than 1 year before they start their fellowship in this program. What is also very important is that there are also that the partners and beneficiaries represent different sectors. So they cannot be only academic partners, but they should be also companies or NGOs or other beneficiaries involved, so that the students are exposed to different sectors and they can for a while go and have some experience from the others. And this it's quite highly competitive. To get this, it's I think less than 10% are funded of all the applicants. But then the funding is provided for the salary of these PhD students for 3 years, and there is additional money for the research project and coordination. The project that we have had a so-called cloud project, and the main goal of cloud is to study the influence of cosmic rays on clouds and climate. And specifically, we have studied how formation and growth of aerosols proceed in different kind of environments, and how ionization affects this process, and also how cloud droplets are then formed from these aerosols. And the cloud collaboration is fairly large. It's almost 20 institutes altogether. And as said, some of these are actual beneficiaries in the Marie Curie ITN, and some are then partners. And since 2008, we have had these three ITNs. So there is kind of 3 generations of PhD students who have worked together for this project. And the whole core of the project is the cloud chamber, which is situated in CERN in Switzerland. And about once per year, all the PhD students who are hired for this project come together to CERN to perform experiments in this chamber. So we basically first produce cleaning air in the chamber, and then we put there other gases that we want to study. And then the students each operate different instruments which are measuring different parts of this process. So they really need to work together and analyze their data together to get the results. So it's really cooperative work, and that's why also the funding scheme works very well for this kind of project. Then I tell a little bit what kind of activities we have had in this project in respect to the doctoral education. So as said, there is usually one measurement campaign per year where the students come to CERN for 9-10 weeks at a time. Then somewhere in middle of the campaign, we usually have a collaboration meeting where also then all the supervisors come to CERN and other people, the coordinators, and then there is often different kind of meetings together, and then we look at the results at that point and how the project is going. So it's a little bit of kind of yearly review meeting of the project. In addition to that, we have data workshops where the students together with the supervisors work with the data. There's also summer schools or winter schools which are somewhat tailored for this program, or then the students come, for instance, and join one of our other winter schools or summer schools in Hytielä, which are relevant for the project. And in addition to that, there is, of course, kickoff meeting of this project, and then we have organized a final conference to show the results also to a wider audience. And in addition to these activities, of course, the PhD students in this program are also enrolled to their local PhD programs in their universities or institutes. So they follow the training and study program of these local PhD programs. So there's actually quite a lot of activities that they end up having each year. Then I try to kind of summarize what is the additional value to the students from this Marie Curie network compared to a normal PhD. So one additional part which is actually required for each student is that they do a secondment. So they go for a research visit to another institute, or it can be at one of these non-academic partners. So for instance, many who are involved with, for instance, developing some instrument, then they go to an instrument manufacturer company and see how this is done in industry. The students are also required to do a career development plan and, of course, a PhD plan as well. They do yearly reports for the program, and they are also very much encouraged to be involved in doing science communication. So for instance, yearly they report both on the progress of the research, but also which kind of communication activities they have had. They also have a so-called research and training support group, and that consists of minimum 2 of their supervisors from their own institutes, and then 1 external member which comes from another partner in this cloud project. And this group meets at least 8 times during this 3-year project, and they are kind of monitoring the progress of the students, and then they can act if something is not going as planned, or if the research is not progressing, and so forth. There's also a supervisory board which meets once per year and discusses and checks that all the PhD projects are going forward. And in this supervisory board, there are both student members and then some of the supervisors and external members included. And what I personally think is the biggest added value for the students who participate in this kind of program is that they really have a network of students who are working around the same topic, and they interact a lot with the other students. So that's really beneficial, and they build this network, international network, already during their PhD time. And then, of course, in these yearly meetings and other happenings, they also get to know a lot of the more senior scientists involved in this project. And for instance, we have seen that many students, after their PhD is completed, they go to do a postdoc to another institute, which they got to know through this network. So this has been very beneficial, in my opinion. So to conclude, I think the research and training program is very good, and the cloud project has been very successful. We have had a lot of high-level publications, so also the science is good, not only the training. And this Marie Curie project has really kind of established quite tight connections between the main partners and kept the collaboration going over 10 years already. And as said earlier, there is for the students, it's really superb for networking, and they get quite a lot of support. We have more than 30 people who have graduated already from the cloud project, and I counted that at least 2 of them are already assistant or associate professors. And also the network has kind of promoted the careers of other people involved in this network, even though they wouldn't be directly hired as these Marie Curie students. So that has been also very good. And then it has had connections to also other projects and other funding. So my experiences, at least, are very positive of this Marie Curie initial training network funding. This was all what I wanted to present. Now I guess we can go to questions.
Yes, thank you, Katrianne. And we have several questions already listed here. So do you have any information about the postdocs? I mean, some kind of a direct links where such information about the courses, also about the courses, can be obtained, or positions? Or is it depend project on a project basis?
Postdocs. So
yeah, that's a question about postdocs.
Yeah. So this Marie Curie funding can be applied also. This individual funding can be applied for postdoc, but then everybody with their institute have to apply it separately. So these initial training networks now only are for PhD students. Earlier they could also hire postdocs.
Okay, then we have the next question from Irina Obukhova. What about the defending of dissertation? Do you have joint commission? What about language of dissertation, if it's a double as understood?
Yeah, those are usually done following the local doctoral school regulations. So, like independent of the Marie Curie ITN. So, for instance, those who are employed by us, they have usually done their dissertation in English as they come to Finland from another country.
Okay, I don't see any more questions in the list. It's just only the statements, positive, everywhere practically. All of them, yes. And maybe in this case we can continue, and we are coming now to the closing remarks.